welcome to From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, from the TeleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We begin with the news. Stay with us because we have several informations. On Monday, the Peruvian Congress debates and votes a second motion to remove President Pedro Castillo from office, alleging moral incapacity. During the debate, the Peruvian president will have the right to defend himself and address the charges against him for alleged corruption and incompetence for appointing unsuitable ministers. This is the second motion of vacancy introduced against Castillo and his administration. The first one was last November 25th and was also put forward by right-wing sectors. The International Commission on Human Rights of the Organization of American States showed its concern, pointed out that this motion lacks objectivity, while the community of Latin American and Caribbean states expressed its solidarity with Castillo and urged to respect the will of the people. During the afternoon session, the session was postponed because of Congressperson's disobedience, as a representative of Fuerza Popular Party displayed signs reading "vacancy now." The session resumed in calm and order. In Bolivia, relatives of the victims of the Sacaba and Senkara massacres that occurred in late 2019 mobilized in the city of La Paz to demand justice as the hearing against former Senator Janine Áñez for the coup d'etat against Evo Morales case continues. The relatives of the victims of the massacres held several vigils in the capital La Paz. The most important one outside the Miraflores women's prison, where Janine Áñez is serving a year of preventive imprisonment. The demonstrators labeled Áñez as a murdered. They gathered shortly before the beginning of the oral arguments in a trial session carried out online. The protesters demanded 30 years in prison for Áñez, who suffered an anxiety attack that forced the trial to be postponed until April the 4th. And Francia Marquez, the candidate for the vice presidency of Colombia for the left-wing coalition Pacto Histórico, denounced being a victim of death threats and demanded that the government guarantee her and her family's safety. The environmental activist took to Twitter to denounce that she had not only been a victim of slander and racist remarks, but had also received death threats on 2 occasions, along with other social leaders. Marquez asked the Colombian prosecutor's office to carry out an investigation and hopes that on this occasion, impunity does not prevail. Francia Marquez and Gustavo Petro lead the latest polls to win the country's presidency in the first round of the coming May 29th presidential elections. In El Salvador, the police counted at least 87 violent deaths during the last 3 days, despite its state of exception and the massive capture of gang members. The incidents started on Friday, while Saturday only 62 homicides were registered, the highest number in the recent history of the country in a single day. The authorities have not explained the reasons for this violence escalation, which is attributed to the gangs, mainly to the Mara Salvatrucha group. Likewise, the National Civil Police reported 600 people detained due to the increase in murders. Those detainees, as a result of the state of exception, could be under administrative arrest for 15 days and without the right to defense during the time the extraordinary measure is in force. State of exception law was approved by Congress at the request of President Nayib Bukele. Now we move on to other topics. In Ecuador, authorities report nearly 356 affected people after the earthquake of magnitude 6.0 on the Richter scale registered in Esmeraldas, a coastal province in that country. After the new evaluation carried out following several aftershocks, the National Service of Risk and Emergency Management issued a report detailing that material damages include 2 houses destroyed and 87 affected, as well as 5 public buildings, 2 health centers, 6 schools, and a bridge. It was also reported that the consequences of the tremor included 1 person who died due to a heart attack. This earthquake was registered on Saturday night at a depth of 10 kilometers and at 11.79 kilometers members from the city of Esmeraldas. The shake was felt in more than 60 cities of 11 of the 24 provinces of this Andean country. Also in Ecuador, though, the death toll rose to 4 as a result of landslides caused by heavy rains that hit the parish of Cuenca, south of the country. According to reports from local authorities, 2 bodies were found on Sunday during search and rescue operations in the Sayusi sector of that parish. The Ministry of Transport and Public Works stated that the heavy rainfall caused a stream to overflow and block roads. At the same time, the fire department reported that about 15 houses were affected, while others have been covered by mud and rocks, and about 250 people have been evacuated. We'll take a short break now. Join us again after this. Welcome back to From the South. In Russia, presidential spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said on Monday the Kremlin is concerned about a new statement made by the U.S. President Joe Biden on his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin. Biden said Putin should not remain in power because of his actions against Ukraine. Therefore, Peskov said, such statement is cause of alarm, and he said that Moscow will continue to carefully study and future statements by President Biden. Because of this, the Russian foreign minister told the U.S. ambassador to Russia, John Sullivan, that the unfortunate statement by the U.S. president could cause diplomatic relations between the two nations to be severed. Now we have also more information. As we go on, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov ruled out that Russia's military operation in Ukraine had led to international isolation of Moscow and said his nation has good relations with many countries of the world. In statements to the press, Lavrov said that the idea of Russia being isolated internationally is promoted by those who limit their ideology to the dictatorship of the West. Lavrov also said that over 500 years of Western domination are coming to an end and that a new era of multipolar world order is taking shape. The top diplomat said his country has many partners in Asia and in the Pacific region, as well as in Africa and Latin America, with whom it maintains good relations. And also, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov announced on Monday that they are close to reaching an agreement with Kiev to end the armed conflict in the Donbas region. Lavrov said at a press conference that the Russian Federation has reasons to believe that NATO has heeded the security guarantees demanded by Moscow. The foreign minister said the West's plans for Ukraine has failed and criticized the imposition of new sanctions against Russia. The Russian top diplomat also said that such policy is not aimed at solving problems, but at slowing down the strategic and geopolitical development of Russia. He said that with the situation in the Donbas region, the European Union has demonstrated its inability to resolve the conflicts. Also, this Monday, the Russian delegation arrived in Istanbul ahead of peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine in Turkey. The new round of negotiations between representatives of Russia and Ukraine is scheduled to take place on March 29th and the 30th. The head of the Russian delegation, Vladimir Medinsky, said the new meeting was agreed this Sunday during a video conference meeting with the Ukrainian delegation. Since February 28th, Moscow and Kiev have held the negotiations on the conflict in Ukraine both in face-to-face format in Belarus and by video conference. In this regard, in statements to Russian media, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed the upcoming face-to-face talks in Turkey.
A new round of negotiation is coming because they are truly aiming for peace without delay, as was informed. There is the opportunity and the need for a face-to-face meeting in Turkey. That is not bad. Let's see the result.
And the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, seems willing to accept a neutral status for his country in order to make progress in the peace negotiations with the Russian Federation. The president of Ukraine said his country is thoroughly analyzing the issue of neutrality, provided this will guarantee a total withdrawal of Russian troops from Ukrainian territory. In addition to a neutral status, Zelensky said in exchange for security guarantees, Ukraine will be willing to guarantee that it will remain a nuclear weapons-free nation. Zelensky said he wants to prevent any more deaths and wants guarantees of sovereignty and territorial integrity for Ukraine. The announcement was made as the Russian delegation arrived in Turkey for a new round of talks with Ukraine. We move on to other topics. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas criticized on Sunday the West's double standards that he said penalized Russia over its special operation in Ukraine while ignoring Israel's crimes against the Palestinian people. The statements came as a joint press conference with the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken.
The current events in Europe have shown blatant double standards, despite the crime of the Israeli occupation that amounted to ethnic cleansing and racial discrimination, as recognized by human rights organizations, in addition to the attack of sanctities and the lack of the respect for international law. We find no one who is holding Israel responsible for behaving as a state above the law. The continuation of the unilateral Israeli measures will soon lead to the implementation of the decision of the Palestinian Central Council. What is happening in Palestine cannot be tolerated, and international law cannot be separated.
And the Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Sayeh condemned the recent meetings between Arab countries and Israel, highlighting that holding these meetings without ending the Israeli occupation is an illusion.
The meanings of Arab normalization without ending the occupation are nothing but an illusion, a mirage of a free reward for Israel. We warn against Israel's continued aggression against our land and our sanctities, and allowing citizens to enter Al-Aqsa Mosque. This matter is no longer tolerated, and our people in Jerusalem will remain, as always, on the lookout for all attempts that inevitably lead to an unprecedented escalation, especially since we are days from the land day. It is the blessed month of Ramadan.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.